We haven't had a Kitty Interlude in a while, have we, Kitty? Hey, Tatters. You haven't had a chance to say hi to all the amazing YouTube people in a while. Say hi, YouTube. Or you want to say, where's my food? So this is the start of the trip home. As you can tell by the sweater and this not being the boat, I'm home. Spoiler, I made it. That might come in doubt when you see some of the problems that I have on this trip home. I wanted to record this before I get into the main video because it kind of starts on not the best note. And it's always been very important to me with this channel to make sure that everything is optimistic. Even when things get kind of really crappy, still optimistic. As I was editing the last video, I wanted to have the renaming ceremony at the end of the last video so that this video could start with the trip starting. And that's going to be how it starts. But there's no footage of the ceremony. Now, before I say this story, I've got absolutely no hard feelings to anybody whatsoever. I don't want anybody to be upset. It's just things happen and that's the way it is. I had asked Matt to record a bunch of footage, including the renaming ceremony and a bunch of the stuff in New York City in the harbor by the Statue of Liberty and whatnot. And a little while after that, I hadn't yet copied the videos from him. For reasons unknown, he left when we were in the Catskills. He told me he was going to be back on Sunday before we unstepped the mast, but he didn't return. And so I didn't get any of the footage. So let me try to tell you a little bit about the renaming ceremony. Obviously, it's not going to have the same impact being told as a story rather than actually seeing it, but... So as you could tell in the last few videos, I was really rushing, trying to get everything done to get ready for the departure. And I think I had started to see the renaming ceremony as just another task to check off the checklist. So I was going into the ceremony very much from an almost ABC, what do I need to get done? You know, get all of the old names off the boat, get the new vinyl on, which Colin, who you're going to meet in a couple of episodes, printed for me. I got that on. I was looking up what the actual ceremony was. So I had a couple of friends from the marina came. Marty, who was in the boat beside me, Job Site 2, that you've probably seen in the background several times. Him and his wife came over. A few other people from the marina came over, and I started to do the ceremony. And there's one part in the ceremony where you ask Triton to strike the old name from his register and to bless the new name, Mermaid's Rest. And I very suddenly found myself choking up, and it almost caught me more by surprise than anything. I'm not a superstitious person at all. I don't believe that it actually makes a difference to the overall safety of the vessel. So I was really surprised when I got to ask for safe passage that I started to choke up, and it kind of made me realize afterwards how much of an emotional toll, in a good way, getting ready for this trip was. And as you're going to see, it was emotionally taxing. Several things went wrong. Obviously, all worked out in the end, but I got this boat because I was looking for a way to get to places that airplanes don't fly. I didn't come into it thinking about the romance of sailing. So it's become something of a shock to me how much the romance of sailing has taken me. And that included the renaming ceremony. So as much as I wish I could have shared it with you, maybe it was just meant to be something for me and some close friends, but it meant a lot more than I realized at the time. So with this little omission in the video explained, let's slip the lines and get underway. I don't know how well this is going to work. I know the audio is probably crappy, the engine's running, I don't have my mic, but we're off. Can you see anything other than the pole? No, you can't. So the hose is on board, the wire's on board. This will slip off once I start dragging her. We've got a rising tide.
Okay, who might went in?
Let's not start with anyone going overboard. Okay, we're good?
Alright.
Clear it off.
Now it's off.
That was off.
Turn off.
off. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Don't get your fenders. There'll be more white trash.
Come on now, don't judge.
I do that. You know that.
Matt, watch me on this post here on the stern, okay? Thank you, sir. We're clear. And here's the rain. How's that for timing? That was really loud.
Yes.
I didn't realize it was going to be that loud. Wow, this is so fucking surreal.
This is just like when we went out the other day.
I know,
Your
but
boat's your boat.
I'm not coming back.
First off, this is the homeward bound leg.
I wonder if that's why I choked up when I was doing it, is I realized, like, this is it, we're going.
Yeah.
Oh, the not meter's working!
For now, I've seen it go on and off. But
Still, 4.5 and it's saying 4.2.
you did some electrical things. You might that might be a side effect.
Yep,
Much as I don't like side effects in engineering,
neither do I, but you know what, I'll take it. Once I get home, it's all being replaced, so
yep,
I don't care why it started working in this case. Holy shit, that horn was loud.
that's the point of it. That's why you make sure it's pointing away from everyone before you press the button.
Well, today I learned. Thank you for doing the lines.
Not a problem. So we're okay. We're fine.
At this point, there's nothing more I can do. It's just go. I have done all I can. Safe Harbor, Kent Narrows. Safe Harbor, Kent Narrows. This is SY Mermaid's Rest, requesting a radio check.
You are loud and clear on the Kent Narrows, Captain.
Thank you, Karen. We're on our way. You have yourself a great weekend.
Okay, you too.
Oh, she's running so smooth.
Yep. Take a look behind you, because that's your last look at that marina.
Next time I'm in this marina, she'll be electric, she'll have new rigging, she'll have new sails, she'll be a whole new girl.
And we are underway.
We are
We're
underway.
underway.
Excellent.
Fucking surreal. Holy shit. I've got the GoPro going. I have no idea if the footage is going to be any good.
Security call NSU Challenger, southbound Baltimore Lane. About 30 minutes at Bay Bridge, standby channel 13, trying to insert traffic, the NSU Challenger.
Oh shit. I got way too close to that.
Whee.
Yoink. And over.
Dingy. Captain.
We're off to a fine start. I was so focused on this one. I didn't realize I was coming up on that green real close. Oh, this is going to be a great adventure. Okay, now I can speed up.
Yep.
I don't have the current on me anymore. Oh, brilliant. Kent Narrows 1 and 2. Bye.
We ain't talking about locked in the bottom.
I'm finally taking my living room home.
Yep. That's the oil temperature.
Stop beeping. There's no, I don't have any oil
Yeah,
gauge.
got it.
I feel the heat coming out of the back, but not too bad.
Yep, the lazarette's fine.
I guess I'll save some batteries and see you in a bit. Six, 7, and we're barely even trying 6-8. We're gonna have to tack here in a bit, but oh, this boat, she's happy again.
I used to race sailboats,
Wasn't quite expecting that to come up my backside. It's actually starting to turn out to be a pretty nice day. It's kind of funny seeing how high up that elevated bridge is. Got his 3 white lights up there. I don't know if that's coming through on camera. It's been raining all day. I think the rains are finally stopped and it shouldn't be any more rain for a while to come. We're well and truly underway. Still got a couple of hours to go. But what a hell of a way to end the first day, huh? Absolutely gorgeous. The buoy lights are just starting to come on. 41.7 nautical miles down, 8 hours and 23 minutes. Probably got another hour, hour and a half before we hit Chesapeake Creek City. And then we'll decide then. Might just empty the jerry cans and keep on going. I don't think the fuel dock's going to be open at this hour. We should have enough in the reserve to easily make it to Cape May. We'll see how we feel. I won't be taking any chances, but no reason to stop if there's no reason to stop. Coming up on 5 a.m. Starting to see first light. Yeah. 17 and a half hours in, 91.5 nautical miles. I think it's 115 nautical miles until we hit Cape May. Being overtaken by the Clipper Saturn towards the bottom of Delaware Bay. Good morning, YouTube. 18 hours, 20 minutes, 95.6 nautical miles. It's been a while since the old girls had a workout. What she's made for, not sitting in a sled. Got some sailing the last couple of hours. Not getting too far from Cape May. Less than an hour at this speed. We land again. Some good breaking waves. The old girl's got some good life in her still. Got a couple problems we're going to try to fix in Cape May. The blower's gone and it smells of diesel. It's leaking a bit around the top of the tank where I took the sender out in order to help clean the tank. The gasket didn't seal properly, so in these banging waves we're getting a little bit into the bilge and it smells pretty strong. So without the blower, the smell in the cabin is we had the blower for a fair bit of time and the tachometer, but they gave up sometime during the night. So, Cape May, we're going to refuel, see if I can figure out what's wrong with that, get that fixed, have a bite to eat, and then, well, I guess get ready to head up the Atlantic. We are very much in the Atlantic now. Granted, just offshore, but we're getting good spray, and damn is that spray salty. Can I say hi? I'd say this is not even 1 meter, but you can feel her.
It's not, it'll stand up a little bit around his headland.
Yeah, never comes across on camera anyway. Dock Company, so they're dredging. Howdy! So this hasn't gone well. Noticed we lost the blower last night in the tack. Figured it was bad wiring, so motored on into Cape May. Stopped the fuel. Realized I couldn't start the boat. The starter battery is down to 4 volts. Obviously the alternator never came on. I was wrong when I thought it was working before. So as of right now, we're dead in the water. I've got a place I can stay tied up for the night. There's Chandler, he's not too far away. Might be expensive, but we'll get it sorted. So, we're in Cape May. Ran into a few problems. The passage itself went pretty good. Had some pretty heavy water in Delaware Bay, but kind of expected that. Did about 120 nautical miles in about 23 hours, something like that. Sorry, I look disheveled because I feel disheveled. The Renergy stopped charging the batteries. I thought at the time it was overheating. Turned out it wasn't overheating because later on I lost the blower and then I lost the tachometer. We pulled into Cape May to get diesel and I thought, okay, I'm gonna run down below and see if it's just a broken wire going to the blower. Starter battery had 4 volts. The alternator wasn't working. That gel battery is probably toast. We'll see. The regulator might be something I can get working again. I'll have to read up on it more. Not right now, I'm exhausted. I think what I'm going to do in the short term is the Phoenix charger obviously can be set up to charge gel batteries. When I realized the Renergy wasn't working, I turned off the inverter, turned off most of the lights, went into sort of like a low power mode, and we were at like 86% this morning. So being careful, we've got days on charge. So to at least get to New York City and up into the Catskills, what I think I'm going to do is bypass the Renergy entirely, set up the Phoenix to charge gel, and run it over to charge the starter battery off the lithium battery. Kind of exactly the opposite of what I wanted, but here we are. That should keep the starter battery charged up and my depth sounder and all that kind of stuff in the tack and the blower. I have another problem now. The other problem is that when I put in the backup battery, the gel battery that I had saved, it's at 12.48 volts. And when I press the start button, the starter's not turning over. I'm hoping it's a bad connection on the positive of the ground. I can hear the solenoid clicking. It's just not actually starting the engine. First problems first, charge the starter battery. So let me go show you what I'm doing with that. So with the Phoenix inverter, turn it on, and I should be able to set it to gel. High 14.7. Recondition. That seems like what I might need for fixing the 4 volt battery. Actually, before I change that, turn that back off. I have to remember which one's which and pull it off here and run it to the battery. I'll run the recondition to see if I can get that battery back up and running. That's not mine, that's not mine. That would be mine. It's the resin shrink tubing. So that's going to be for one lead. That's going to be for the other lead. I'll put the battery here, put it onto recondition, and see if we can get some life back into this slightly kerfuckled battery. I'm not done at all, but I took what had been the charger for topping up the batteries I was using for top balancing. This is a 5/16, and I only had 1/4 inch. So I tried drilling it out. I ripped one of them entirely and had to replace it. Drilling these things out when all you've got is a pair of needle nose pliers is not a lot of fun, I must say. Ripping the quarter earth to pieces was exactly what I planned to do, but I had to free up the wires going to the Phoenix because they had been strapped into there, and I couldn't get my hands up to cut the zip ties to free them without risking cutting wires. I haven't slept yet, but I had a coffee and I brushed my hair, so, you know, that's something, right? Alright, never complain about a situation you get yourself into. So as if my day couldn't get any worse, this guy came around, apparently left it in forward. His starboard pulpit caught my starboard pulpit. You can see the current coming in. He started to spin around. We couldn't push him off because the current was leveraging on the pulpits. The captain didn't do shit. And I started hearing cracking. I know that's new. Haven't even got the reconditioning going on the battery. Welcome to boat life. Alright, I don't think it's going to be an issue, but there's the cracking there. As long as that doesn't go up into... Oh, can you see that? I don't know if the lighting is there. There's a little bit of crack there. But let's look underneath. The cracking is no worse than the crazing. And I know this isn't new because you can see how it's discolored here. It cracked where the screw hole was. And I know for sure that wasn't there because I was just fixing that. And now back to a regularly scheduled bodge jobbing. So I decided I wanted to put a switch in here, even though I'm going to be doing the trickle charging. Set it to DC mode. Or can I get it where the sun's not blocking the screen? Hold 0. Alright. Let's turn the charger on. Oh, where's my multimeter? Let's get this set up and ready to go. There we go. Okay, it's rebounded to 6.95 volts, which, you know, still sucks pretty bad. That is showing 0.32 amps, which is probably just needs to be zeroed out. Oh, right, I turned off the AC entirely when I was working on the panel. Okay, I just heard it come on. Let's gotta finish booting. I think that says, sorry, it's upside down. 14.4, which is higher than I want, but it's in recondition. Let's see if we can set it to 14.1 in recondition on in this battery. 16.43. What the fuck are you? What? That's off. Let's check this again. Okay, still 6.95. Maybe reconditioning just hard sets it to that. Okay, let's turn this on. 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 20, 26 amps. 14.2 volts. Okay, 28 amps. Okay, I will keep an eye on this. I wish this wasn't so high amperage. I mean, it's 10 gauge, so 30 amps should be no problem all day long. All right, well, at least now, hopefully that starter battery has a chance of coming back to life. The next thing I need to figure out is, well, actually, no, I don't have anything to figure out. I think what I'll do next, when this is done, I will see about running that charger to charge up the starter battery for the rest of the trip home. I've got plenty of charge in the lithium ion bank. So my next problem, I think, while I let this go, is figure out the starter. I'm going to do that by checking all the connections on the starter and see if one of them's loose. I'd be absolutely brilliant if that was the case, because yeah, today's been lovely. .3. I really wish that was 14.1, but I could set it to power supply mode at 14.1 like I did before, but I don't know if there's something special about the recondition. Maybe actually before I do anything I should... Oh, it's dropping to 14.16. Oh, there it goes, it's dropping. Anyways, let's see if we can save this battery. It's only been a few minutes. I realized I could grab those clips like I'd used before and just leave it on. So it's already dropped the voltage down to 13.58, 57. Still doing 30 amps, which is the maximum output of the Phoenix charger. Before I move on to the starter, I'm going to actually take a break and read up on exactly how the Phoenix recovery thing works. As of right now, at 13.5 volts and 30 amps, it's fine. It's going to be more a question of what it does at the top end. So I can leave this running while I read that. At least that's a theory, and you know, it's not like I ever fuck up and get anything wrong, so I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be just fine. So looking at the starter, I'm not sure how I can show you this, so I'll tell you what was happening. It's not fixed yet, but I turned the key, I heard it buzzing, I would press the start button, and I would hear this relay, I would hear this solenoid click. So either the solenoid in here is not bridging this connection, or this wire going into the starter has perished. And, you know, I'm sure it's just fine. I'm gonna try starting it one more time, just now that everything's been off for a while. And if it still does the solenoid click, I believe I can bridge these connectors with a screwdriver. And if the problem is the starter solenoid, the starter will turn over. If the problem is not the starter solenoid, the starter will do nothing. I had hoped I could just sort of take this connector off and reconnect it, but looking at how shot it is, if it's the starter, I am almost certainly buying a new starter. I mean, if I had time, I could probably take it off and refurbish it, but I definitely do not have time. Oh, bloody hell. I mean, if I have to buy a new starter, then at least it's that much more for whoever buys the engine. So I started cleaning these already, but you can see how much crap was on this. This and this are the starter wire, which is this really janky cable. I'm sure this cable, I mean, it's not okay, but I think it's continuous. But you can see how much corrosion is built up on it. So I got this off and it didn't break. I mean, it doesn't sound great, that's for sure. It doesn't feel great, that's for sure. But there is wire going into it, so I'm hoping I can just get everything off, clean the connections, and it'll work. I went to do the screwdriver trick and, well, frankly, I chickened out. I was scared of the spark. I mean, look at the corrosion on those bolts. So I'm gonna try to clean this up and see if the starter starts working better. If it doesn't, I will start figuring out how to disassemble it and then try to find a replacement starter as early in the morning as I can. So it's been a couple of hours. The battery is getting pretty warm. It wasn't finished and the amperage was down to about 20 amps, but I was worried about how warm it is. So I've decided to turn off the charger for a bit, let this cool back down. The voltage is dropping. It was about 13.3 volts. It's down to about 13.11. But I'll give it, I don't know, half an hour, however long it takes to cool down. And then I will put the charger back on and see if we can top it up. One of the working theories that Matt had, I suppose I should back up and say, I cleaned all the contacts, everything's shiny, it's good surface, and it's the same thing. We're hearing the contact here, nothing's turning over. This battery has the right voltage, but because it's bulged, let's see if I can show you this. You can sort of see the bulge there. It may not have the crank amps anymore to actually turn this over. So the reason we're hearing the theory goes, the reason we're hearing the clicking and it's not turning over, I mean, look how stonking this thing is, you know, like there's my hand by comparison. It might simply just not have the power to turn the engine over. So it's clicking and it's trying, but nothing's happening. So once the other battery is charged up, it's probably damaged. It's probably not going to be able to turn the engine over itself. So as a test, just to see if that's actually, if we're on the right track, I'll put the second battery here, parallel them, and hopefully the two batteries together have enough oomph to turn this thing over. If it does, great. I know I'm dealing with a battery issue. I run out in the morning when the chandlery is open and I get myself a replacement battery. So what I'm doing there will be how I keep the starter battery charged up on the trip home. I'll have to extend those wires to here. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet, but that's a problem for later. I still haven't slept since yesterday. I don't even know what I was saying. I think I said everything I need to say. If that still doesn't turn over, I've already started hitting PB Blaster on the bolts. If I have to get the starter out, I have to rip all this apart, which means I'm here for another day. But if that happens, I'll put Matt and Susan on trying to find me a replacement alternator and going to pick it up while I'm pulling apart the lazarette and we'll get the starter replaced. I realized I asked when I was doing the renaming ceremony to keep us safe. I didn't see anything about keeping the boat working. So we made it here safely. Weather's been decent. I mean, for shit to go sideways, it could have been a lot worse. Oh, and I got hit by another boat, but I don't think I did too much damage. I'm gonna go rest for a bit. All right, I did a bit of reading. I had a bit of a rest because this was getting pretty warm. It's still a bit warm now, but I let it rest for about an hour and went into the Victron. With this switch, I was able to turn this off so I could turn on the smart charger and actually connect to it. I set the voltage to max out at 14.1 volts, which I'm really tired right now. I should sit down and reread it, but I'm pretty sure was the higher voltage, or was the highest voltage I wanted for gel batteries. I also set the output amperage to low amperage mode, so it's at 15 amps, 14 whatever. The reason I set it to 15 amps is because I don't want to overheat the battery. Like, it's already really warm, warmer than I would like. A couple of hours at 30 amps, I guess we'll do that. I looked up what it was to recondition, and it looks like it just puts a higher voltage, which we saw when we first turned it on, when the amperage is below a certain amperage, and it's designed to help recover a battery. I mean, makes sense. It's what it says on the tin. So I'm gonna let this go. After an hour, it was still sitting at, I think, 12.8 volts. I'm sorry, I should have recorded that, but again, I fell asleep for a little bit. And leave it for about another hour, and then I'm going to parallel this with the other battery, let them equalize for a bit, and then we'll see if we can turn the engine over. So I had it running at 15 amp. I don't know if it was for an hour. It was for a little bit. Well, it's getting late, and I don't want to pay for another date here, so I think I'm going to try connecting this battery in parallel to the battery that's already in there. Try starting the engine. Start or no start. I'm going to run the ground from that charger back to the ground bus. I'll run the ground that I had for the Renogy to tie the starter engine neutral or ground into the engine, which will tie it into the bus bar. And then I need to extend this wire to get it from there into here. At 15 amps, split between the two batteries, I know that they're at different states of charge, so one of them is going to charge first, but regardless, it's 10 gauge wire, 30 amp, it's 3 meters, 10 feet at most. It'll handle 15 amps just fine. I mean, I can do 15 amps on 14 gauge, and we'll leave that overnight. Sorry if I'm not my usual happy and cheerful self. I've had 3 or 4 hours of broken sleep over the last 48 hours and a lot of stress. Welcome to boat life, right? I've probably said that a few times in this video, but you're gonna go on grand adventures in what is essentially an off-grid little home. It's what you gotta put up with, right? Okay, I'm gonna try to film this one-handed. We'll see if it succeeds. So what I want to do is check to see what the voltage difference is between these two batteries. So that one is, I don't know if you can see that, it's 12.84, 13.06, so they're pretty close. Unlike lithium iron phosphate, they're not going to have a massive current dump. So I'm going to put the phone down, I'll connect the ground in parallel, and then I'll get the positive over here ready to go. I'll get the clamp amp meter set, and then I'll bring the camera back as I connect this, and we'll see what kind of transfer current we get. Half an amp. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm gonna put the camera down and get that set up. So, 0.2 amp, let's see what it's done to the voltage. 13 volts even, 0.013 current. Shall we go see if we can start the engine? The inverter's not on. 1 issue at a time. Alright. I mean, I know by the time you've watched this is way in the past, but I'm gonna channel the future you guys to help me cross my fingers. Woo! Woo! All right, that's what the problem was. can't be too noisy, it's late at night. Ah, holy shit. All right. Matt, you were right. You want to be a masochist for the camera? Oh, while you're in the shitter, get all your humility in there. Here, camera's at the vent. Say it again.
Doing a piss.
All right. Doing a piss? Well, taking a piss. Jesus Christ. So what that's about is we were sitting around while that thing was charging up, and Matt was talking about how big the starter was, and he was like, I wonder if there's just not enough crank amps to turn that thing over, which made a lot of sense to me the moment he said it. I never thought of it, to be clear. So that's why we decided to parallel them. So the next thing now, before I can call it a night, oh my god, I'm so relieved. Holy shit. Okay, focus. I need to get this charger set up to be charging. Now, why is it not charging? Right, it's not it's not inverting because it doesn't need to. It's got shore power. It's not charging. I guess it's charging a little bit because I set the charge to stop at a low voltage back when the cells were out of balance. Okay. Don't fucking scare me. Alright, I got some more work to do, but holy shit am I relieved. Here, Matt, take your victory lap.
Good to be right. Nah, it's alright. It's
Team effort.
The starter motor is like that fucking big. It's 2 kilowatt starter motor. It's going to take a lot of juice. So
Yep.
start with something simple, then work forward. And
I was focused on voltage. I didn't consider the cranking amps. Alright, time to clean up. Okay, no, charger, then clean up, then sleep, and then get the fuck out of here in the morning.
Yep.
Alright, 11 o'clock at night, but there's the bodge. See, it runs back there, goes through there. I started cleaning it before I was done. To be clear, I am not proud of this, but I have one actual strap around the forward battery, and then I have an extremely liberal application of duct tape to help hold in the forward battery, or the aft battery. I have, you can't see it because I've covered it already, but I taped over as best as I could the positive terminals, positive fuse as well. My daughter called, so I'm not quite sure where I was in that. Anyways, this is not to ABYC by any stretch of the imagination. This is clearly a get home bodge now. I mean, it was a get home bodge beforehand, but now it's gone full bodge. So the main idea behind this cover is, obviously I can't cover everything, but I wanted to cover the terminals. So if anything gets thrown in here and it happens to be wet, it's not going to touch anything positive. I mean, I guess I got a little bit here. I should probably put some tape over this. I'll do that after I turn off the camera. Actually, no. The first thing I need to do is turn on the charger and make sure that it's charging the boat, or charging the starter battery, so we don't end up in the same place. Turn on the charger. 14.1 volts, half amperage, 15 amps, which will put 7.5 amps into either battery, assuming they're balanced. Reconditioning is now disabled. It wanted to default to 14.4. I set it to 14.1 because, well, I'm not really concerned about longevity of the boat or of the batteries, but considering how warm it was getting, I don't want to stress the batteries. That's that. Let's turn it on. 15 amps. She's charging. I'll monitor this while I keep cleaning up, but I think we're back in business. I can start cleaning up the boat, packing her up, and getting ready to be back underway.